Hi friends, this is Lisa back again, and this is week 50 with Bashar. So for 50 weeks, I have been following the formula and applying Bashar's teachings to my life. And every week for 50 weeks, I have made a video about my week. So discussing my week, how it went, and discussing the challenges that I had for that week, if I had any, and then also what Bashar teachings that I applied to my week. So this was week 50, and I'm gonna look down at my notes while I'm talking to you just to make sure that I did not forget anything. I had a great week. One of the days this week was an in-service and there were no kids at school, so that was really nice. Kind of a nice little break because it is the end of the school year, and I don't know if any of you have been around middle school students before at the end of the school year, but they are kind of crazy and very energetic, so it's a lot to keep up with them. Looking through here, the wins for this week, I definitely spent a lot of time with my grandchildren again this week. I talked last week about how I felt like I kind of didn't really have enough me time for the things that I wanted to do, and that made me, the way that I was looking at things that were going on in my life, the circumstances and the meaning I was given to the circumstances, was making me feel not as excited as I would like to feel about my life. So I worked on that this week and really changed the way that I was looking at the different experiences and the meaning I was given to things, and I had a much better week. I was in a much happier mood and was definitely more present with the situations that I was in. And I really didn't have any more me time than I had the previous week. Things are just very busy right now. There's a lot of momentum behind certain activities and stuff that have been planned for a while. At school the previous week, I talked about how I tie-dyed t-shirts for the social studies Olympics with my students, and all the color washed out, so that was a challenge. We had to get those re-tie-dyed, and in fact I'm still working on doing that. I brought a lot of them home with me this weekend to go ahead and finish up myself. But we had field day this week at school, and it was a great time. They really, I'm a 6th grade teacher, and the 6th grade teachers planned it and organized it, everything, and it was amazing. The kids had so much fun. So that's really nice to get to see that and to be a part of that. One of the things that happened to me this week that I want to talk about is a visitation. I call it a visitation whenever I have one of my loved ones on the other side visit me in my dream state. And this week I was visited by my grandmother, and I think the reason why, there's a couple of different things that I think maybe prompted this visit. My cousin is organizing a family reunion for her side of the family, the Aveo family, and he contacted me to find out like dates that I might be available to visit, because this is my family, extended family. They live in Florida. And so I had been talking to him and then another one of my cousins, and I haven't been in contact with them in quite a while. And I'm sure that my grandmother in spirit loves the fact that I'm keeping in touch with my cousin. So that could have been one of the reasons. And then also, she gave my oldest daughter my grandmother, I'm still talking about my grandmother, my mother's mother. My grandmother gave my mother her wedding rings before she passed. And then my mother gave those to my oldest daughter when she was in her late teens, and that was before my mother passed. So my oldest daughter, Lindsay, she has had these wedding rings, they belong to my grandmother, the one that visited me, all of these years, and they needed to be repaired. And so about a month ago, I got them for her, and I took them in and I got them repaired. And my plan was to give them to her on Mother's Day. And that was just a couple of days before I had the dream. And anyway, I think that those things prompted this visitation from my grandmother. And it was such an amazing, good feeling dream. So my grandmother was sitting on the front steps of the place that she lived in before that I remembered her living as a child. And this was before she passed. And she was younger though. She was probably, she looked to be about 30 or 40. So she looked really young. And I never remember, I've seen pictures of my grandmother when she was younger and she was beautiful. But I never remember her looking like this when I was growing up. She was sitting on the front porch and she had beautiful black hair, and she was brushing her hair and it was just shiny and gorgeous. And then the way that her face looked, it was just so beautiful. And she looked very, it's not sophisticated, that's not the word, elegant. She looked very elegant, and it just, the way that she looked, I was like, Grandma, you're so beautiful. And you have really aged well. I remember I was telling her that in my dream. And she called me Michelle, and she's like, oh, thank you, Michelle. And we just exchanged a moment, and she was kind of shy about it and was laughing. And I asked her why she never got remarried after my grandfather passed away. And she said that there were other men that she was interested in, but she never found the one that had all of the qualities that she was looking for. And she said, but I'm happy being single. I wouldn't change a thing, or something like that. But anyway, that whole dream, I just woke up and it just gave me the best feeling, like, oh my gosh, I got visited by my grandmother, and she is so beautiful in spirit, in her spirit form. And anyway, that got me thinking about Bashar's teachings, and he says that we all have a spirit team that we can reach out to at any time, that we are always connected to people that have passed over, and that we can contact them for assistance or to give us a sign, and we can be in communication with them. And we have spirit guides, people who have, and people we have loved, like my grandmother who has transitioned, and we also have angels, guardian angels, that are looking out for us, and that we can contact anytime, that we can ask for help. And it just made me feel really, really special and just very connected to have that dream, and to see my grandmother again, especially as it nears Mother's Day. And my plan is to give those rings to my oldest daughter that were once my grandmother's wedding rings. So anyway, very special. I hope that you guys had a great week, and if you resonated with anything in this video, I hope that you will like it, give it a thumbs up, and maybe share a comment about a similar situation if you've ever experienced having a connection like that with your loved ones who have transitioned. I'd love to hear about it. Consider subscribing to my channel and share this embodiment journey with me as we learn about Bashar's formula and really apply it deeply in our lives. So that's it for this week. I hope that you have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Take care.